You guys can see okay at home, right? Can you guys see everything all right?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna try to talk loudly because I know the mask muffles me a bit. But okay, so I think you guys are going from every 10 meters.
Every 10 meters, that's right. And we're going to do 6 quadrats. Yeah,
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so
yeah, do you want to take your mask off?
Okay.
We're far away.
Yeah,
Sure.
So you're gonna set your quadrat. First, we'll just pretend that this is the 10-meter mark. So you would put down your quadrat at the start of the 10 meters, and then as you can see, we have the duct tape on one little corner, and then you have another corner, and that's a way to split it up into fourths so that you have 25%, 25%, 25, 25, which makes up 100%. And the basic things are to remember to look for dead plant material versus live plant material, and that's going to be the best way to start off, or at least in my opinion. So like all this brown is dead still, all these leaves are dead, and then you have here your live material. So you're going to do a basic estimate first on what's dead versus live. So again, you're going to want to use like your duct tape as kind of a measurement because this is all visual. So if you have this part, this is less than 25%, and so is this little section within your quadrat. And then you have this live material, and you also have this live material, and this live material. So it's all kind of complicated and weird, but you just kind of, I like to visually put it in a certain corner, I guess. So I already have a bunch here, and then I'm gonna kind of estimate, and I would estimate that there was about 75% live material in this quadrant, just kind of based on bunching everything together, which would mean I have 25% dead material. If you're bad at mental math like me, I would recommend writing it down as you're doing it because I'm really bad at that. So if I mess up, excuse me. Okay, so then you're going to break it up into fourths again, and you're going to look at the type of species that you have. So you're going to be looking at forbs versus grasses, and so your grasses are going to be kind of these longer, thin species that don't have leaves coming off of them, and sometimes, right now it's still early spring, so we don't have as many flowers yet, but oftentimes on the forbs you see flowers, you have the leaves, they tend to be larger and like more robust, I would say. So I would start off with forbs. So here in this quadrat, in this little 25% mark, we have a lot of forb, we have some grass. This is the same grass. So overall we have one forb species and one grass species. And within this, I would say about, out of 25%, I would say that 15% is this forb species, and then the other, let's see, I'd say about 5% is this grass species, and then you have this little dead material, which would be another 5%. So that would be for this little quadrat. And then I guess you should actually probably do it mostly just forbs first, right? All total. That would make more sense. So I said 15% here, and then I'm going to move on to my next quadrat. This is a forb species as well. And I would estimate that this is more about 10% within this quadrat, because here you have like 15, that would be 10, so 25 total. So yeah, so I'd say 15, 10, so that's, so far that's 25% total of forb species. I'm going to move on to this next quadrat, and here I have, this looks like the same species as this one, so you have to also keep in mind the number of forb species versus the number of grass species. And within this, I would say probably about, I would probably say about 10% again. And it's easier to round, by the way. And this is also considering all these little bunches that are over here in random spots. So that's 35% total so far. And then I'm going to move on to my last corner. And there's barely any forbs here. And this is kind of in that area. So I'm going to go with no forb species in this little area. So that's a total of 35% for your forb species. And then we're going to do that again for grass species. And again, it's only one species as far as I can tell. I'm not a plant expert though. So anyway, so for grass species, I had said earlier that I would estimate about 10% within this area, just considering the other or the dead material. So that's 5 in here. Let me move on again to this one. So here, this is all grass as well. I don't see any other species of grass besides this tall one. And I would say probably a total of 5%, and you can also kind of visually bundle that up, and that helps you visualize better how much there is. So that's about 5, so far 10. And then this next quadrat, it looks like I don't see any other grass species again. So this isn't a very diverse quadrat. And then I would say that this one has about 10% total. Maybe 15 actually, because there's not very much dead material overall. So, did I say 15 just now?
Yeah,
okay,
you did.
cool.
I'm
Okay.
writing it down.
Thank you. So that's 15, and then we have 10, so that's 25% total so far. And then our last section, a lot of this is dead, but if you kind of bunch this up, I would say that it would be about, maybe about 10%. So that's 10, 20, 35 total?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So 35, and then we have only 2 species, one grass species and one forb species. You could just say forb species 1, grass species 1. And then I think I said 35% for each of them. So that would be 70%, right? Yes, 70%. And then you have 30% dead species. So I don't remember what I said at the beginning, which is why it's good to write things down.
For the dead, or
Yeah, for the dead versus live. But you can just kind of check up and see if that sort of adds up at the end, kind of based on how much dead material you have. And
bare ground,
yeah, and bare ground, yeah. And I think 70 versus 30 seems pretty accurate overall, because 70 would be like that much. So yeah, that's kind of the basics of creating a quadrat. Does anybody have any questions, or does that make sense?
Does anyone at home have any questions for Annabella? Did that seem pretty, pretty easy now that you've seen the video and you've seen her do it live? Because what you guys will be doing over the next week's lab is Annabella is quite a superstar for us. She's going to be taking all the pictures for all the transects and the quadrats, and you guys will be working in your groups to analyze the quadrat vegetation, composition, and diversity.